All right, so how did you get involved in CASA?
Awesome. So I actually grew up in Utica, so right in the midst of Seward and York County. And one of the gals that I went to high school with, she is one of the staff members at the Southeast Nebraska CASA, and she reached out and she was like, "Hey, we need board members. I think you'd be great for this." So I thought a lot about it, and for me, it really stemmed from a place of believing that everyone deserves to feel like they're cared about, and kids that are in the foster care system typically are going through a lot, right? And so having someone there that truly is focused on them and cares about them, I felt like that was a really good mission to be a part of.
Why is it important to raise funds for an organization like CASA? It's already supported in some ways, but why are the funds now even more important?
Yeah, so we thankfully, initially we had some federal funds this year that had gotten canceled, and through a lot of people supporting the CASA, calling their representatives, we got the federal funding back. The local funding still has been reduced in some areas. And so through donations, the big thing that we really do with that is that's what helps our volunteers get to all of the kids that are in a part of the CASA organization. So when our volunteers are driving, it can be thousands of miles. So last year alone for Southeast Nebraska CASA, our volunteers drove over almost 12,000 miles. And so that's a lot of time. It's a lot of miles on a car. And so paying for mileage is a big piece of that. They're volunteering their time, right? This is a really emotional thing too for them. And so it's also paying for training so that they know how to go into these scenarios where these kids are maybe abused or neglected. It's a pretty heavy topic. And so having these people volunteer their time to do this, it's really important because, if you're not getting paid for it, this is something that's just on your heart. And so the donations that we get go directly to those things.
Talk about volunteers. There's always volunteers needed as well.
Yeah, so we always need volunteers that are working directly with the kids. That is a really important one, right? Those are the people that show up for those kids when they need it most. These kids are taken out of their home. Sometimes that means a new school, a new home that they have to go live in for a while. They're going into court where, there's a lot of adults and their voices can get lost really easily as a kid. And so it is really, really important that, our volunteers are able to show up and be that voice for these kids. They're the ones keeping that child kind of front and center through all of these different court hearings. Additionally, we always need board members, right? We're kind of helping run the show. This is a volunteer position that we get into, and we're doing it typically alongside a day job or something else, right? But we really are the ones that are helping kind of go out and advocate in situations where, maybe we're talking to the community or we're asking our representatives for funding. We're filling out the paperwork as to why this matters. And so for Southeast Nebraska CASA, we have a couple of board members, and really we only have 3 staff members that are actually on. And so everything else is full-time volunteering for us.
That's pretty incredible to think that the amount of work that needs to be done is done by really a pretty small group of people.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, our staff members are incredible because they are the ones running the show, right? They're the ones helping get these volunteers training. They're the ones making sure that the kids have a volunteer that can show up. They're helping kind of coordinate a lot of that, working with the kids and the families. And so they really help a ton with our volunteers, and it is only a couple of them. So,
right.
Yeah.
Take me through kind of some specifics of what a volunteer work actually looks like. We've heard from a lot of different volunteers. They say it's all worthwhile, but can you speak to what is actually being done from a volunteer standpoint?
Yeah, so a big portion of kind of the aspect I've been, kind of aware of and involved in is really them getting to know the kid. How are they interacting with the kid? What is the kid going through? And how can they show up in a courtroom and really help advocate for what's best for that kid? A lot of times these are kids that nobody else maybe is listening to. I think that's probably the biggest piece that's impactful for me is our volunteers are the ones that are there saying, you matter. And I don't know that there's a better opportunity than that. I think the biggest thing in terms of where the dollars go, it really is the training and the mileage for these volunteers. We don't have have, with all of these being volunteers, the board members being volunteers, that money goes directly to them. The other thing that we would love to be able to do that costs money is how do we help take care of the well-being of our volunteers when they are dealing with such heavy topics. That's something that additional funding would be fantastic for, is just what are the opportunities that we can really support our volunteers as they're going through this. And they go home to maybe their family and their kids and feeling blessed and lucky, yes, but they have that heavy on their minds too. And so things that we could do with additional funding is like wellness and support for them.